Do you like listening to podcasts? Of course you do. You're listening to a podcast right now. What about getting paid to listen to podcasts? Well, now you can. Sign up at podcoin.com and get paid to listen to your favorite podcasts. It's free. Get paid to listen, save up your Podcoins, cash them in for prizes like Amazon or Starbucks gift cards, or you can donate to charity like we do. Use our offer code SUPERPOD to get 300 Podcoins on us. It's available in the App Store and on Android. It's the only way that we listen to podcasts now, and it could change the way that you listen to podcasts. Now on with the show.
This podcast is part of the Big Heads Media Podcast Network. Go to bigheadsmedia.com for more great podcasts.
Bountiful Disney.
Blink and you'll miss the bubbly.
A web of deceit.
All that and more.
Cody, let's web Sony up.
Thwip, thwip, thwip. Oh, okay, I'm back.
What's up, man?
Whew. Sony's heavy.
Yeah, they're pretty.
Because there's like a lot of people with Thwip.
That's a lot of people.
Yeah.
Now watch me thwip. Now watch Aunt May May.
Now I had to entertain everybody in New York City.
I mean, yeah, that's a thing. So
Because I basically put everybody in the shape of Sony, the word. Yeah.
between those two towers,
Yeah.
buildings and cabs and all that shit.
Mm-hmm. All that and more.
Yeah. Welcome to episode 89 of the Super Media Bros podcast. I'm Midnight Agent Raw.
And I'm not Spider-Man, I'm Okami.
That's right. Because that's Tom Holland's job.
Oops! You know, suddenly everybody knows he's Spider-Man.
Suddenly, pineapples.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, okay, I guess we can kind of kick it off with that if you want to, since we're on that subject.
Being that everybody's talking about it, has been talking about it.
Yeah, everybody's been talking about it for some time, and, you know, like, when it first happened, when Sony seemingly just pulls the plug on Spider-Man being in the MCU with Disney, it hit and everybody was just like, fuck you, including us. We were just like, dude, fuck you for that. But like having some time to sit back, it's like, okay, we can't change this shit because it's obviously not going to happen. Sony's chairman came out and said the door is pretty much closed for right now on that. So maybe we can just hope for the best and focus on what good can come from it, because Tom Holland is still going to play the character, which is what's most important. I mean, I think, you know, like the Russos had said, even the fact that we got what we did with him was, we were lucky to have that.
Mm-hmm.
So I think moving forward, there's obviously a chance now for him to mingle with Venom and Morbius and whatever else that they're going to put together. So, I mean, in a way, I'm excited because, you know, even if it's not with Disney, maybe they could make more and more of them, and maybe we'll get like a Spider-Verse with Maguire and Garfield. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big discussion I've been having with a few people, that if they're actually doing the multiverse, the Spider-Verse, after the animated version of it, you know, what else could they do with the live action, basically?
Yeah.
So now we can have the experience of, you know, seeing what the animated did with the multiverse going into the live action sequence, basically.
Yeah, because if you do that, I think it would be a lot better, because the animated movie was just done like so well. You can't I say you can't outdo it. You could probably do it, you know, one up it, but that was just such an experience, and I think that may have been Sony's way of being like, well, if we try this, maybe this is like something we can do live action.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Because that movie was fucking great. That's probably one of the best Spider-Man films I've seen. But it's up there with Spider-Man 2, with Raimi's.
But not only that, I mean, the game for the PS4 was just a masterpiece.
Dude, and I really want to say that I read somewhere that one of the Sony executives were talking about adapting that. Like, doing like something of that caliber for a solo film, which I'd be all for, because that's a great fucking story.
And we're not going to spoil it if you haven't played the game, because, I mean, not everybody has touched the game at this point, so I don't want to get too much into it. But that story arc alone, I mean, it divvies away from a lot of the common stuff that we've gotten over the last, 20, 30 years. So it's definitely kind of like a big, hit with the fans, but at the same time, like we kind of saw like how beautifully it was done with not just the story, but with every character involved. Like it can be done really well on the actual screen, as long as Sony's willing to like put more time and effort into it the right way.
Yeah, because I think that's all we can hope for now is the fact that maybe they've learned from, their past fuck ups. But, I was pissed off. I mean, there's a part of me that's still pissed off. But, I mean, granted, there's, both sides of the coin that we won't get into because it's already been done to death as far as people talking about it, with the logistics of money and, who's right, who's wrong. At the end of the day, both sides fucked up on this deal. And hopefully Sony can get their own heads out of their asses and not have an egotistical mindset as far as like, well, Venom did great and Spider-Verse did great. We can do it without Disney. It's like, well, I mean, you didn't really prove you can do anything with Spider-Man live action outside of Disney. You got lucky that Venom caught on the way it did and that it was a fun movie, and the way they marketed it overseas especially was the way it caught on.
Mm-hmm.
And the Spider-Verse is animated. Who's not going to go see a fucking animated Spider-Man film?
I mean, a lot of the animated stuff in general is just like an instant hit. So, I mean, you can't go wrong.
Yeah. But, I mean, who knows, man? I hope the door could stay open eventually for... Maybe they'll have him go off, do his own shit, and then come back full circle. And it's like, oh, I'm back, guys. I know you couldn't talk about me for like a phase and a half, but I'm here, baby.
No, what they need to have do is David Harbour go in as Hopper and be like, keep the door open 3 inches.
Yes. Just 3. It's enough to shoot some webs through it.
Yeah.
God damn it, yes.
Just have Sony as 11. Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's move on from that because there's only so much we can talk about where that's concerned.
Well, we don't get a rise of anger here and there.
Yeah, no shit, right? I guess we can move over to the Disney side of things, get away from Sony. Let's go to Disney because there's some exciting shit on Disney Plus, guys. We've talked about the Phase 4 of Marvel with, the new shows that are coming out. We talked about that a few weeks ago. But one thing we didn't really dive into was The Mandalorian, which that's something that we've been waiting on for a while because, Jon Favreau has his hands in it, which, of course, Jon Favreau has done a fucking fantastic job with a lot of the projects he's worked on.
Mm-hmm.
And this is pretty much one of the bounty hunter stories that we've been clamoring for quite some time. And
we're finally getting away from the traditional Jedi and the common characters that we've been introduced with so far. So it's basically not so much a Rogue One-ish, but in a way a Rogue One-ish kind of approach.
Yeah, because if I'm not mistaken, does this take place between 3 and 4? Or is it between 2 and 3?
It's somewhere between 2 and 4. I don't remember where exactly, but yeah. But what I like about what I've been seeing about it so far was it has this very Western like approach to it.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
It's such a refreshing take because, like you said, you're so used to the whimsical fantasy sci-fi aspect of it, but you forget like there's more to that whole entire era than just those elements. You can do other side stories with a different feel of it.
Yeah, I think one of the things that proved that was Logan. Speaking of like westerns, like the fact that you can take that property and you can put a spin on it with a different genre altogether. It's going to be nice to see. I mean, we enjoy the space opera portions of it, but to stick it like and have a Western vibe to it is definitely something that will be refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
Especially with, it being a series. You don't just get like one movie. You're going to get like a good played out storyline, fleshed out and everything. And it's supposed to be not just the one season. They're hoping it do more.
I mean, with the hype train that it's on, I mean, it's probably going to happen.
Yeah, I don't doubt that by any means. Because I was looking at some of the directors they were having on there because they're gonna have like different people directing. I think Bryce Dallas Howard is one of the people directing an episode of it, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
And I like the fact that they're gonna bring in different people to do that. It's,
I mean, it keeps it original and not so predictable, I guess.
Yeah, and that's the thing about television series that I've always enjoyed too, especially with things like, I know it's like way off from this, but It was like with Ash versus Evil Dead when that was still a thing. You know, Sam Raimi directed the pilot episode, but they had a lot of really great people come and bring their own flair to characters that have already kind of been fleshed out in the world they're in. I mean, not necessarily that we have these characters in The Mandalorian already fleshed out, but I think given that it's the Star Wars universe, we're kind of used to what it is, and you're going to have so many different people bringing their, you know, their style into it.
I mean, you have so many decades of influence now. They can do so much with not just the prequels up until what we have now, but I mean, we've been hearing stuff that Disney's going to be doing an Old Republic style movie or TV series or something like that at some point. But I'm expecting, what I'm expecting from that is after The Mandalorian hits and it actually becomes a hit, that's when they're going to get their idea of like, okay, should we pursue Old Republic?
Yeah. I don't know. I think it needs to happen. Like, we've been asking for a fucking Old Republic series or film for I don't know how long. As long as we've done this podcast and the one before it.
I mean, if you really look at the Old Republic's like trailers and cinematic sequences, they do so well making that look like an actual movie that could be, you know, more than just like a 5 or 10 minute clip. So why not make a full length film based off of what you've done? Like, you can do it CG if you want. I don't care, but it's like beautifully crafted already. Ooh,
Ding.
damn. Yeah, ding is done. But yeah, it's
ding fries are done.
yeah. But yeah, like it's so beautifully crafted from the very first game up until the MMO and stuff. Like you can actually have something really awesome with this if you really, you know, sit down like, okay, we have like this large ass library of lore to go through. You know, you have plenty of things that use this.
Star lore. Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it, man. I mean, aside from obviously the Marvel stuff, Mandalorian is one of the things that, you know, has sold me on getting Disney Plus.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't really have much else to add on to, just other than I'm excited for it, and it'll be nice to see like a live action Star Wars television series, and you know, considering it's on Disney Plus, like they're doing with the Marvel shit, maybe it'll tie in with the, you know, it's obviously tying in with the films, but maybe what we see here could have, you know, further repercussions for these new or the newer Star Wars movies, or you see something that happens that maybe explains something else that happened within the, you know, the story. I don't know. Yeah. That's pretty much all I got for it.
I mean, on the lines of Disney Plus, I mean, just came across that they're rumoring to release a lot of the old 90s Marvel cartoons like X-Men and Spider-Man and all that.
Yeah.
Along with the launch, which is going to be a fucking dream come true for me if that happens.
Yeah, because I've been wanting to get a box set of the Spider-Man and X-Men shit from the 1990s, like 1992, 94 Spider-Man. Well, 92 X-Men, 94 Spider-Man shit.
Mm-hmm.
Those were in... I mean, I know you feel the same way. Those were some of the best iterations of these characters because, I mean, Spider-Man's had a few animated launches before. And then here recently in the last 2 decades, we've had... It seems like they made a new cartoon for every movie that came out, and I fucking hate when they do that. Like, why can't you just have one animated series that goes and goes and goes?
Yeah.
You don't have to reboot it every time a new sequel comes out. And that's what I liked about... You know, I hate to say this, but that's what I liked about not having those movies. Because you got it made up for with the cartoons.
Mm-hmm.
And they were so good. And they told stories. And they told dramatic stories. And really good shit. They adapted the comics really well, too.
I mean, I can still recall the music in my head for both animates.
Yeah.
Just
No, I don't know, man. That's a good nostalgia trip for me. I'm all for it. I'm all about that shit. Give it to me. So, yeah, I just realized we're talking about a lot of television. We haven't gotten to talk about TV series shit in a long time.
Well, I mean, there hasn't really been a whole lot. I mean, there's a couple of things to talk about at some point, but to me, there really has been a whole lot to kind of dive into, like a whole episode based on.
Yeah.
Here recently, now we got a lot of shit to talk about.
Yeah, sure. Like Watchmen, that's a thing. We talked about it briefly not long ago, but the thing with this Watchmen series that a lot of people were wondering, are like, okay, well, how do you make a series based on, you know, the book if you're not going to translate the book? Because at first I was like, this would be neat. Let's have a series based on it, because you can tell the story way better than you can in like a 3-hour cut.
Mm-hmm.
Well, seeing how they're going to be doing it, where Sally Jupiter is not Jupiter anymore. She actually takes the surname of the comedian's real identity, and she's a detective now. Adrian Veidt is old as fuck, and this is well after the events of the book. I don't know if they're going to follow the book or the movie, which they'd be smart to do the movie because it's a live action adaptation. Because in the book and the movie are different on the ending. The book had the whole alien invasion kind of ending or whatever, and then the movie had the war kind of ending, where now Adrian Veidt is older, and heroes are still kind of outlawed and shit. Well, when I read, it was like the police it's either the police or like a gang of people revolt and rise up wearing Rorschach masks. And this is where it gets interesting now, because there's going to be a whole new bunch of people introduced as, heroes and shit. So we're going to get a whole new slew of people to kind of, get to know.
So are they taking like a creative like freedom, being that, I don't know, like how to the fans of the actual comic, I can kind of understand that it's pretty much a well done movie, but did it really take off as much as it should have back when it released?
What do you mean?
The Watchmen movie.
The Watchmen film didn't perform at the box office, but I mean, obviously it was R-rated. So because at the time, like that was the beginnings of people clamoring like, we want like good R-rated stories if it services the story, which it obviously services the story. Watchmen is very much not a fucking teen comic.
No.
But the thing about Watchmen was you had a very visionary director, and I'll defend it till I go down. Like, Zack Snyder is really good at what he fucking does given the right material. And this is a prime example of it. This, along with movies like 300 and, things like that, were great. But Watchmen, at its time, was a very cinematic, and I use this term lightly just because it's not, comparable to like a lot of Oscar-winning shit. But at the time, for a comic book film, it was very much a cinematic masterpiece, because Zach just knew what the fuck he was doing with the source material and wanted to stay true to it. And I think that's a little bit of what hindered it, because it was polarizing. People that were hardcore fans of the fucking book went in there and loved it. I loved it. But people that don't understand that it's a very slow burn story were put off by it, because it's like, I'm here to see superheroes, but nobody's being super. When in reality, the story of Watchmen is superheroes that are outlawed and having to fucking find their way through life, not doing that shit anymore. And then, corruption of government and morality. There's a bunch of undertones in that movie. And I don't think people were really ready for that much of a layered story. So to simplify my answer for, layman's terms, it should have gotten more recognition than it did.
Yeah.
But it didn't because of the time that it came out. But I think now is the time, because Watchmen has become a very revered cult classic film, like a modern cult classic. So I think the Watchmen television series will do it justice as far as picking the tonal quality up and carrying forward. I think there's enough of a fan interest to see it happen, especially on HBO.
No, I agree with all that. My concern was, I think that's why they went with the creative freedom with it. So yeah. They thought that back then, the way that it was done, it was too faithful to the comics or the book, but it didn't do well in the box office for that particular reason. So now they're going, well, maybe we should do a different spin on it, but still have the characters' images and everything tied to the series.
Yeah, because Dr. Manhattan's still on Mars. Mm-hmm. That's a thing, too, in this series. He's still on Mars.
Yeah.
And as far as I know, Sally, Adrian, and Manhattan are the only three characters that are kind of around, because Draymond, who was Night Owl, I don't think he's even in there. And if he does come back, they'll probably, save it for a second season if they get there. But I'm excited for it, dude. And that's another thing too. Like, I don't really, because I don't have a lot of cable. I pay for like shit that I watch. I do like Netflix or Amazon Prime and shit like that. But it's one of those series that I'm going to want to watch. So they've got me hooked because I like the story and I like the book and the characters and everything. And I'm just curious to see where they take it. It's very interesting because it's so many years removed. It's like 30, 40 years later.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm all about it.
Yeah, I mean, I'll give it a chance, even though back then I wasn't too well versed in the Watchmen series to really understand what was going on. So I kind of got disenchanted from it.
Oh, that's fantastic! Like, it's one of those. It's one of those graphic novels that I'll fucking like die by. I will fucking die on that hill. A lot of people really enjoy it because it's a great fucking book, but the movie is just as phenomenal to me. It's just as good.
Mm-hmm.
Very well acted. They had really great character development in there, especially Jackie Earle Haley playing Rorschach was just fucking awesome.
I mean, I did enjoy his performance as that, so.
Yeah. Then, I mean, that's, like I said, we'll get to watch it when it comes out and maybe talk about it some more then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm going to move on from that.
I mean, I found this out a couple of days ago, which is kind of interesting to see where it goes. Robert Downey Jr. is supposedly reprising the role as Iron Man at some point, even though we all thought that after Endgame that was pretty much, the whole end of it, basically, in a way.
Yeah.
But me and him talked about it some more, and we thought, well, maybe he's just bringing it back by the voice and doing some kind of like animated, maybe on Disney Plus.
Yeah.
So we still get to see Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man, but not in the traditional form that we've seen the last couple of years.
Yeah, and from what I understand, if it's the Ironheart series, he's supposed to basically take over what Jarvis was for the suit, which would be perfect. Hell, I'd love to see Downey come back and do that. Which, it's stupid, and to go back to the Spider-Man thing a bit, now that I'm thinking about it, it kind of pisses me off because there's a fucking totally missed opportunity here. They could have totally, and I get why they wouldn't, because they need to separate it, let Spider-Man be his own fucking man, but they could have had him be the fucking suit voice for his fucking tech armor.
Yeah,
could have had Downey be that. He could have been Edith, and that would have been funny as shit.
Like the Friday to Robert,
yeah,
or to Tony. I mean,
because I can just see him now. He's just like, "Hey, kid, even dead, I'm the hero." It's just like, what?
I'm here 3,000.
Yeah, exactly. I'm here 3,000, 24/7, 3,000 days a year. What?
And just Peter's just like just different emotions the entire time. Like, I don't know how to handle this.
Right. Oh, it reminds me of an episode of Black Mirror. With the fucking where the lady loses her husband or whatever, and she winds up sending all his voicemails and emails and everything he did on the internet into this like company, and they basically like recreate his voice and likeness and personality, and it's like, basically, oh my God, yeah. I wouldn't know what to do with myself.
Yeah, they basically turned him into like an actual phone call. Like every now and then she would call him and he would talk to her.
Yeah, and then eventually it got like to the point of she pays out the ass. They never gave a number, but she pays out the ass to have him put in a fucking like pseudo android suit, and it's like, oh my God.
Which, come to find out, is just not the same.
Nope.
Like, there's something not there.
No, and it's like buying that new piece of technology you've always wanted, and then you get it and you play with it for a little bit, and then you just stick it in the attic and just it's there.
It's like a Christmas present.
Which I only visit on the weekends. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Gross.
I'll move on from that. But yeah, I'll definitely check anything the man does out. Honestly, I mean, aside from the Iron Man shit, but it's cool to see him not completely want to give that role up if he really wants to do it. So,
I mean, at this point, he is Iron Man.
Yeah.
There's no other person that can take that mantle away from him.
Yeah, he's fallen into that category of like, okay, nobody else is going to play this fucking character. That's the same way with fucking Hugh Jackman and Wolverine. I don't know how the hell they're going to reboot that, but I mean, it's going to happen. But for so long, it's like Hugh Jackman is Wolverine. There's nobody else that's going to play this fucking guy. And well, sure enough, and there's not going to be another Iron Man for as long as this continuity keeps up, which is not going to end anytime soon. We're going to probably be talking about this another 10 years from now. So,
Well, I mean, at this point, being that Marvel doesn't have Spider-Man anymore and he was supposed to be the new Iron Man, that kind of leads up to a couple of theories about who can take on the next Iron Man mantle, which I know they talked about. This is a rumor from a long time ago, so don't quote me. T'Challa's sister was actually supposed to be the new version of Iron Man, basically, or a type of Iron Man character.
Oh, well, I mean, that could happen, but even still, I think at this point, they'd probably kind of co-mantle it. Now that Spider-Man's not going to be there, I totally foresee it being like Doctor Strange, Black Panther, and Captain Marvel being kind of like the three like heads of this now.
Mm-hmm.
And hell, if they were really smart, they would just let fucking Falcon do it.
Yep.
Since he's the next Cap, if it's not Spider-Man, give the shit to Sam Wilson and like let him do it because goddamn, any fucking way.
Have the White Wolf every now and then.
Absolutely. Let's talk about the Joker before we get into music, sir. Very polarizing itself. It's won a couple of awards. It's won an award. It won the highest award at the Venice Film Festival, which is I saw coming. It's Joaquin Phoenix, everybody. The man is a phenomenal fucking actor, and I truly believe this has Oscar material written all over it as far as the prestige he's going to bring to this, film. But people are kind of pissed off about we don't need an origin story, for somebody like this. We don't need to make the Joker sympathetic or relatable. And it's like, okay, I get that to an extent, but at the same time, like, how many movies have we had where it's like we've learned about a shooter in a movie or people that blow each other away with guns all the fucking time? It's not. You're literally just saying, okay, here's a look at this man's psyche. This is what makes him who he is. And that should be fucking scary. It's not like, hey, you need to be relatable to this guy. We all have problems. But at the end of the day, it's how you choose to act on those problems. This motherfucker is choosing to act this way over what's going on with him. It's, like I said, I feel like it is a character study. It is a psyche character study, and it's a fucking movie.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be great.
I mean, it kind of falls into the category of the psychological thriller in a way.
Yeah, absolutely it is. It absolutely fucking is a psychological thriller in a way.
But in my opinion, this is actually a different take on the whole quota of origin stories being like too played out. Yeah, we have all of these heroes and, oh, well, my parents died, or I got sent from, Krypton to come to Earth because my planet blew up, or, I was abandoned as a kid because I had mutant powers. Yeah, we get that, and it has some effect on how that person develops as a person or mentality or whatever. This, however, is just showing that this is how fucking demented a person's mind can get.
Yeah, because the problems that he does have, and a few of them being one of which I can't remember the name of the symptom or the symptom. I can't remember the name of these. The problem,
the ailment,
yeah, but basically the laughter is caused by like a tic that he has where it's uncontrollable, and that he laughs in very inappropriate moments or laughter out of nervousness. I have nervous laughed a million times in my life. That's a thing. He's got bipolar disorder. From what I'm remembering reading about, he sees a therapist in the movie. He never has any positive thoughts. He's had an abusive home life when he was growing up. Like, there's a lot of fucking different layers to this guy. And again, you don't have to feel sympathy for this man. You can just simply look at it and be like, okay, this is why he is like he is. And I know there's a lot of other people that don't want a Joker origin story because the Joker's character is just there. He is this force of fuckery that it just exists because he exists. But it's
so basically
also
like Batman.
No, Batman had the origin story, but Joker's
no, they both had origin stories. If you actually read up on both characters outside of the films,
well, Joker never really had one until the fucking the Killing Joke, really, and that was just something, and it was kind of where this movie's drawing a little bit of the influence from, and also The King of Comedy. It was an old fucking 1983 film. I think it's 83 with De Niro in it, but I mean, aside from that, Joker always just kind of had and he even said this in one of the books, was there's just a really random pick your own, kind of choose your own adventure origin story. He doesn't really know. He doesn't really ever tell the truth of where he came from. This, for all we fucking know, this whole thing
it's like a memory or a fixed.
It's a false memory.
Yeah. So we could have literally just this whole movie blow over as like he's actually in like Arkham or something, just telling a psychiatrist, what they want to hear.
What's your story? Here it is. And he could have made the whole thing up.
But he could be so twisted and so demented at this point that he doesn't even know what his actual origin is.
That's the thing. He never did.
So
and
that makes you just in a way makes you appreciate the character even more because this is how like dark he is. Like he doesn't know reality from fantasy anymore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the other thing about it too, which again, the Joker movie is meant to start the DC Black thing for Warner Brothers, which DC Black is a comic imprint as well. It's meant to tell standalone stories for specific characters that are one shot. There's no other way about it, or it can be done in a series of comics, but that's the only story of that you get.
Right.
If they were smart, they would find a way to put this Joker in with Rob Pattinson's Batman that's coming out, because it's going to be confusing for people, for casual moviegoers to see this Joker and then a Jared Leto one. And in fact, they're doing a standalone Joker film for him too. And it's like, why are we doing this? I mean, I am all about this movie, and if this is all we get from this, then so fucking be it. I'll be happy with it. But man, I feel like this one's going to be another one of those Ledger performances that's hard to top.
Yeah.
You're going to have Nicholson. Nobody's going to top that role. You had Ledger. Nobody's going to top that iteration of it. And I think Joaquin Phoenix is going to have that kind of a thing too.
I mean, in a way, if you think about it, like, what if they do
A Joker verse?
Yeah. But no, the Rob Pattinson Batman, if they actually get a Joker role that's not one of the characters already mentioned or the other actors mentioned, if they get somebody randomly and he's like, yeah, every single story I've told people in the past, that's not the truth. So you have the old Batman from Nicholson days, that's one version of his story that he told people. Then you have the Heath Ledger version that they told that was completely different. Then you have the Joaquin Phoenix version, and then you have the Jared Leto version. It's like, it's all these mentalities fighting to come out, and he's like, well, I'll just pick this one today.
Yeah, I think that'd be fucking fantastic. That'd be a great way to work it out, where it's almost like the Imaginarium Dr. Parnassus, that movie that Ledger was in, how when he died, they wound up just getting different actors to play versions of that character. That would be fantastic. That'd be a great fucking way to like do it.
That
now,
way you
I just want to see somebody explain the Cesar Romero Joker now.
Well,
you see what had happened was.
This was my father.
I still think it's funny to this day. Like, if you go look at those fucking old Adam West Batmans, that Cesar Romero didn't want to shave his mustache, so he would just have the face paint over his mustache.
Yeah.
It's so fucking
comedy
funny.
gold.
Yes.
But you also, if I just thought of this, what if you have the whole Flashpoint paradox Joker with Martha Wayne?
See, that's the thing, too. Or you could have it to where, okay, if you want to write out a lot of those other characters, maybe it's not just Flashpoint where, okay, Bruce Wayne died and Thomas became Batman and Martha became Joker. Maybe the Flashpoint fucks it up so hard that the Earths cross over with one another. And you don't necessarily have Affleck's Bruce Wayne anymore. You got Robert Pattinson's Bruce Wayne, and he's younger.
Yep.
He's younger in a world of older, experienced superheroes. That would be fucking cool. Like, any way to spin it would be really cool. But,
I mean, being that Marvel's touching into the multiverses and the Spider-Verse, stuff like that, DC has to figure out some way to get an edge on them to start, okay, well, they're beating our asses, like, no matter what. So what can we do to kind of bring us closer to them, if not, like, head on? That's a big jump for them to do.
The way they could do it, keep Aquaman, keep Wonder Woman, keep The Flash, keep Shazam.
Yeah.
Keep these characters, how they're going to develop them. Keep Cyborg even. The only change you need to make is when you do the Flashpoint film, have it to where the Flashpoint film is the reason you would ever have these characters all together for another Justice League film. And fuck it up as such to where the Batman that comes back is not Affleck's Batman.
Nope.
It is a completely different Bruce Wayne from a completely different... It'd be like Crisis on Infinite Earths. That'd Like, you could do a Crisis on Infinite Earth movie and kind of tweak it a bit. So I could talk about theories like this all day.
I mean, then there's the whole James Gunn with like Brightburn and stuff too.
Yeah. And he's doing the Suicide Squad sequel as well.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Which I have a whole discussion about that, but I'm not going to get into it because I know you haven't seen it yet.
yeah, I mean, we can talk about that another time.
Yeah,
Obviously.
because I'm actually kind of excited about that.
Yeah, we can definitely talk about that and some other shit. So,
Yep.
because we actually have, like, not next week, but the week after that, we have, like, another catch-all, so we can probably talk about a bunch of this other shit on that one, too.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, yeah, so Joker is coming out October 4th, and I'm going to go fucking see the shit out of it.
Hell yeah.
Man, Todd Phillips, the guy that... Think about this, everybody. The Joker movie. The guy that fucking did the Hangover trilogy is doing this movie, and it's getting awards. So the joke is
Think
on
about
you.
that.
The joke is on you.
The killing joke in such a manner of speaking.
This is actually really funny. Zach Galifianakis played the Joker in the Lego Batman movie. Todd Phillips directed Zach Galifianakis in the fucking Hangover, and now he's directing a Joker movie.
Holy crossover, Batman.
Yeah, it's that whole 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon thing.
There you go.
Let's get on to some fucking music, dude, because I know you got a lot of Monstercat stuff to talk about. I have listened to maybe a quarter of the stuff that's come out. I've just had a lot going on in general, so I haven't really been, keeping up with it, which I feel bad for. I've heard some stuff here and there, but I haven't kept up with too much of it. It's just I kind of fell off. And it looked like there was a lot of new artists coming in and out, and then some artists we haven't heard from in a long time coming in and out, and collaborations and this, that, and the other.
I mean, only place to begin. I mean, today I heard Aerocord release the Sound EP that he launched, and I mean, where do I start with that one? Because Take Me Home was originally launched like I think about a month or two ago, and it was a really good like Aerocord like Instinct sound mixture in a way, which is kind of weird. But I liked it. I enjoyed it. And then he released Tribe 303, which is this very trance trap mixture blend, and it sounds so fucking awesome. Like it punches really hard.
Tramps.
But yeah, the rest of the album sounds really awesome too. I mean, the sound. There is where was the other song on here? Burning featuring Bianca from that Kuro track that they launched a while back. So very, very highly recommended on that one. Other than that, I mean, a couple of them that I really enjoyed was Reaper with Sawtooth.
I did hear that one.
Because that one is a good drum step, like hard hitter, and I thought that was really fantastically done.
Yeah.
That one, Tony Romero released a good electro, like fast-paced song called Heat Wave, which was the artwork is fucking funny. It's like that old goofy animated skeleton with the surfboard, and he's like surfing on a freaking fire wave. Yeah. I thought that was really funny. Other than that,
man, the most recent one I heard was the Direct and Matt Van collaboration that dropped on Tuesday.
I mean, anything that they do either single-handedly or collectively is just
it's gold every fucking time.
Yeah, like you can't argue with how well those two work, like independently and collaboratively.
Yeah, and I mean, and that's like an interchangeable trio with them and Fiji Ouija.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and then probably my favorite of the Instinct labels so far is Tails and Jewels with
that
Cobra.
Was a good one. Cobra was fucking good. Cobra was really fucking good.
It's a very good like future trap sound.
It was surprising to hear Tails back on the label too.
I know. I thought he was going to Bitbird for a while.
I think he did, but you think about he probably had this recorded like a while back. So
yeah, because on his social media, he's like, "Hey, comment, how you felt about our collaboration with Jules and stuff like that." I was like, "Dude, y'all together made like fire. Like this was beautiful right here." And then, ironically enough, Half an Orange released a song called Blink 182.
Yeah, I really like that one. It was like, because when I heard that, like when I first heard them announce the title, I was like, did they do a fucking collab? Because I know, like, I'll be talking about Blink 182 here in a little bit, but I was laughing because I was like, did they fucking collaborate? Are they going to be on their album? Why is Half an Orange on Blink 182's new album? Not that I would complain, but that's really interesting.
Yeah, I would like to hear that like mixture of like production right there.
Yeah. I have some things to say about that too later on when I get to it.
But I mean, it's a good little like nostalgia hit because it's basically kind of reminiscent of the early 90s when they started coming out and making music, and it was like, yeah, just going home, popping in a Blink-182 song or tape or something, just listening to them, or a CD or something.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like the whole nostalgia feel.
Yeah, it's a good callback to like the shit you grew up on in the youth and everything.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people don't really like sit and think about it, but Blink-182 is absolutely one of those. They're one of those bands that influenced an entire fucking generation, whether you want to admit it or not. They fucking did.
Mm-hmm.
You know, them and Green Day for sure.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, any any other ones that you?
I mean, like I said, just a couple here and there. I mean, there was Luther and Golda, which was pretty good with Fabulous. Let's see. Stonebank did Life and Death, which kind of has a reminiscence to the Monument EP.
I wanted to check that one out, but I was really iffy on it.
It's not terrible, but I mean, the only thing I like about it is the fact that it reminds me of like the Monument EP a lot. Like it's like a good callback to that. And then Slushy, Watch Your Back.
I saw that he and Tokyo Machine were doing a collab together at one point, so I'm kind of waiting on that to come out.
You know, I haven't really been...
Slushy Machine.
And it's broken.
Yeah. Brokyo Machine.
I'm not a big listener of Slushy, to be honest with you, especially after his first Rocket League track that he released. After that, I just kind of fell off the wagon, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I mean, I listened to it here and there, but I've heard some things that I've liked and some things that I was like, this is okay. It's not my favorite, but I'm interested to see what he does with Tokyo Machine on that collab because, I mean, it's fucking Tokyo Machine.
I mean, everything he makes is fucking awesome.
Yes, sir.
But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of what's been out so far that we've been listening to, or I've been listening to mostly.
Yeah. There's one album that came out this last Friday. And I'll get to the second album that I want to talk about. Post Malone just released Hollywood's Bleeding. And I know Post Malone is somebody that is very polarizing in the music industry. Either people love him or people just fucking can't stand him. I fall into the category of I really like his shit. I like what he does. I know a lot of what he does is considered like extremely mainstream, but I feel like, again, that's because the man like kind of lucked out and got really huge on White Iverson back in 2015, and when Stoney came out, that's a really good album. I really like that one. And then when Beer Bongs and Bentleys had come out, it just kind of continued that that thing for, because Post is really good vocally. Like people kind of like shit on him, but the man like does not use auto-tune like a lot, because I've seen him sing in the studio and sing live. He's really good singer. Was in a rock band at one point, like played guitar in a rock band, can play guitar, can write his own shit. But I think people tend to shit on artists if they do use like autotune just for like song melody, and it's all production. It's all putting something down as like, okay, this sounds really good. Not that I need the fucking help to sing, but this sounds good. Or if they use specific instruments or whatever. But I didn't know he was dropping a fucking album, and I just randomly saw a music video that was coming out, and I was like, oh, I forgot that it's been this long. I forgot it had been a couple years since he put the other album out, but he put one out for Goodbyes, and it was a really fucking cool video. It was like looked like a Western. Like he gets shot, and then like his eyes are kind of like rolled back in his head, and he's like zombified, like singing like throughout this fucking video and haunting this chick, and it's like fucking hell, man. It's really good. But the rest of the songs that I heard, because they dropped it and his channel posted all his tracks on YouTube, he's got some upbeat kind of sounding beats on there, and he's got some guests on there. I really like the track that he did with Halsey. I really like Halsey a lot. She's fucking amazing. And did one with Travis Scott and Ozzy Osbourne, which brings us to a discussion we were having before we started like recording. The whole fact that motherfuckers thinking that Post Malone discovered Ozzy Osbourne, and me and you were just sitting here like, you motherfuckers.
How do you not know who Black Sabbath or Ozzy Osbourne is at this point? I don't even grasp that concept.
I think we've officially reached that fucking age where it's it's the whole basketball speech. Like, you damn kids with your loud music, you fucking Dan Fogelberg, Zima hula hoops, and Pac-Man video games. Like, we've reached that age of, well, back in my day, and blah, blah, blah. Or, we just, quote unquote, don't get what's going on. Like, I would like to think that my finger, I'm speaking just for myself. I would like to think that my finger is on the pulse of what the fuck is going on in the fucking music industry and entertainment in general, but...
back in my day, my singers ate bat heads and snorted ants.
That's right. We drank Nikki Sixx's piss off the fucking concrete back in my day.
Fuck yeah.
Shad!
Shad!
Oh, that's where I got piece of piss from. I say piece of piss a lot because Ozzy called a remote control on the Osbournes a piece of piss one time, and I fucking died laughing, and I've used it ever since.
Funny fact, his son Jack is actually on a paranormal show on Travel Channel now.
Yeah, dude, and it's crazy because you would think looking at the Osbournes that like, oh man, nobody's gonna turn out great in that family, but they wound up turning out extremely well. And
yeah, because Sharon's on The View.
Yeah, she's got like talk show stuff that she does, and Kelly's, I think, doing modeling, or she's doing like fashion or some shit, and she's really good at it. But
Papa don't.
Jack has been doing a lot of shit like that because I mean I want to say he has like multiple sclerosis, or he's got some kind of like degenerative spine disease or something. And I don't remember exactly what it is, so don't get pissy or bash me for it, people out there listening. But I don't.
He has a thing. Okay,
he's got something.
Yeah.
But that doesn't define a person.
No.
And he's pretty awesome. But yeah, anyway, like Post has this new album and it's really good. And I think that this might be, because he's won Grammy Awards and shit before, but I think this might be an album that like kind of further exceeds those expectations because it's actually very well put together. Mm-hmm. The other album that I want to talk about is Blink-182's upcoming album 9. Now, I am a diehard. You know this, and a lot of people out there that know me, that listen to us, know that I am a diehard Blink-182 fan. But we are also living in the moment when Angels and Airwaves has a new album coming out, and they've had 2 new singles out, and both of those singles have consecutively been better than the shit that Blink-182 has been putting out recently. And that hurts me to say, because I really like Matt Skiba. I really dug the California album. I have only truthfully really dug maybe 2 or 3 of the 5 songs that have come out recently. And I think for the most part, it's because I need to warm up to some of them. Yeah. When Blame It On My Youth came out, I fucking hated it. And it was too overproduced. And that's been the fucking thing with a lot of these tracks. They sound very much overproduced. Like Happy Days is really good. Dark Side is fucking awesome. That's just a great written song. Generational Divide is absolutely something I just liked because it was a fucking 59-second punk rock song. But I really wish I Hated You just got put out, and it's not good. It's just not good. Look, whenever I went to go read up on who they were working with, because they mentioned bringing in like outside songwriters, okay? They are writing this album with people like Pharrell, and I'm like, okay, that's cool. They wrote one of these songs with the Chainsmokers, dude. And I fucking hate the Chainsmokers so goddamn hard. And they're writing with a lot of producers like that. And if you're a band at this point in your career where you're trying to reach out and write with these motherfuckers, and you don't need that to happen. Look at the last album they did was fucking fantastic. What are you doing?
I mean, this goes again with what I was talking about earlier about Post Malone. Like, I have nothing against the guy at all as far as his talent goes. I just don't care for the music that's too generic. That's too like, okay, it's basically hip hop, rap, whatever you want to call it. I'm not really that kind of person. I like something a little more diverse and different, which I may have to listen to it and may be proven wrong, but at the same time, it's like I hear it too much at work. Like, there's a couple of songs that play it there, and I'm not a big fan of them anyway. But as far as the Chainsmokers go, it's just the same drowned out house or electric shit. every fucking time I hear anything come out of them.
The funny thing about it is, though, whenever I went and read up some of the liner notes on some of the songs, the ones they wrote on, where is the influence? Like where? Fucking where? It's nowhere. I just feel like these guys are coming in there to get producer credits on these songs because they will make money on having producer credits. And what the fuck are Blink-182 doing? Because I mean, John Feldman's one thing, because John Feldman is a fucking producer. He's worked with people like The Used before. I mean, he's worked with a ton of bands. But man, it's so hit or miss, and I fucking hate that it's hit or miss because I really like them. And you know, dare I say, they fucking went and toured the Enema of the State album and then just played a slew of the greatest hits afterwards, like on this tour they've been on, so they wouldn't have to play these fucking songs live because they've only played 2 of them live. And when I watched a video of them debuting one of the songs, they looked bored to death. And that is no pun intended for the song, bored to death, but they really fucking did. Like, Mark just looked dead in his eyes. Matt looked like he didn't want to be there. And Travis is the only person that ever looks like he wants to be there. And I don't know if that's maybe they just had a bad night, because that does happen on tour. Or if they're just like, we have made a huge mistake, because fan reception has not been too kind. The last few albums they've put out have just been boom, boom, 4-star, 5-star. This one has got like a 2.5 rating on iTunes right now. This one's got maybe a 3-star on other platforms. And it's like, fuck, dude. The rest of this album better be a goddamn banger, because, like, shit.
I mean, it's getting to the point where you are looking at retirement, like, right now.
Dude, and it's sad because they said they wanted to recreate the Untitled album. They kind of wanted to recreate the feeling of the Untitled album, which had, like, I Miss You and Feeling This. They're pretty much their best fucking album they ever did. And you can't recreate something like that. You cannot capture lightning in a bottle twice when you're trying to fucking do it. Like, when you're going out of your way to try to do it, you can't. And
it's not the same mentality. It's not the same vibe. It's not the same experience, because you're basically just going off of an empty feeling because you don't experience it anymore.
Yeah, but if you go listen to fucking Angels and Airwaves new shit, because Tom is actually on tour with them right now, he's sounding better than he has live, and the music is great. And it's sad to say that when he did interviews, he's like, man, a lot of these songs that I wrote were for Blink, but they never got used. And I listened to those, and I'm like, God, this music sounds amazing. This is where they should have went. And instead, we're getting like I don't know what we're getting anymore. And it's fucking sad.
Just
because you got Matt from Alkaline Trio. They should have been putting out like
stellar shit.
Yeah, like that last album they did was fucking awesome. California was brilliant. And then even the deluxe edition with the other songs they put out with it, fuck, awesome. I am only halfway on board with this. I don't fucking know what's going to happen. But I will check the rest of the album out and give more of my 2 cents on that. But as far as the shit that they've put out here recently, I only like a few of them, and that's about it.
Cold hard truth right there.
Yeah, and because the colder truth about it is the fact that these guys will never be the same as long as Tom DeLonge is not in that band. Because when you listen to those fucking people, when you listen to Tom, not saying that he's the only driving force there, but
he was a big part of it, though.
Oh, he was a huge part of their sound. You can hear the guitar and the vocals and the way he's got a very good knack for writing melody, catchy hooks, and that's what's missing.
Yeah.
But moving on before I get depressed about that shit. I saved this for last because it's fucking hilarious, and I just the fact that you even noticed it, like just being kind of a casual fan of shit like this. And look, everybody out there, if you don't know who Chris Jericho is, you're probably living under a rock, because the man is not just a wrestler. The man is the front man for the rock band Fozzy. And he's got a podcast called Talk is Jericho. The guy does it all. He's fucking great at what he does. He just won the AEW championship at All Out, he's the first champion of the company. All Elite Wrestling is supposed to be debuting on TNT in October. So the man wins the championship, okay?
Right.
And I'm telling this story. He's told this story. It's been all over the internet. But in case you haven't heard, this man won the fucking championship, okay? The company's like, we're going to put the title on Jericho, and, you know, he's a veteran, and we're going to just, you know, base, like, the first run of this belt on him. Cool. All right, awesome. The man leaves Chicago, gets to Florida, goes to the Longhorn Steakhouse to eat dinner. Limo driver realizes that, fuck, I grabbed the wrong luggage. Title belt's in the limo. He drives back to the airport, changes it out, gets the correct luggage, comes back. Title belt is gone.
Uh-oh.
The new championship belt they just commissioned, paid for, that debuted on national television on pay-per-view in May. Not even a full half year old. Gone. Kaput. Gone. Poof. In the middle. Gone. What the fuck, dude?
And here I thought the belt couldn't fit him because he was eating a big ass steak dinner.
Bruh.
He just put it aside. It's like, yeah, you know, I'll just set it aside. You know, I can't just, you know, wrap around my stomach right now. No, it got lost in transition.
Well, here's what I'm going to tell you out there listening. You know, a lot of people think AEW is just a t-shirt company, or they're just not going to be a relevant company. I'm telling you, this is probably the best press that you could ever get. Like, your champion. It's a clusterfuck of a story. Your champion loses the belt. Not to a wrestler, but it's stolen.
But to someone else.
Yeah. So, to make a long story short, it didn't last very long. It was recovered. The Jacksonville Police Department had the belt, and they got it back to him. Now, in the midst of all this, because this was a pretty bad PR thing, okay? Funny tweet happened with Cody Rhodes. He just tweets out, he's just like, I prefer Outback. That's the only thing he said on it. They're like, you have any comment? He's like, I prefer Outback. And that's it. But no, what the phenomenon that everybody's talking about is when he won this belt, they did a fucking segment afterwards where they filmed him walking to the dressing room. The gimmick storyline is that he wants a thank you from the company for bringing it to prominence. So he's won the belt, and he's like, this still isn't good enough for you. He's like chewing the wrestlers out. He's looking down. And he's like, oh, nice hair. Shut the fuck up. And he's so, oh, look, all the paramedics. Where were you when I was bleeding out? Like, because he got cut open in the match and shit. He was like, where were you when I was bleeding out? Goes to the back, and they have like a little champagne celebration with like tape plasters on the walls and a little fucking meat tray, and he's just, you know, being a shit and improving is just like, oh, what is this? You know, cheap ass like dollar store salami, and he's just like, yeah, it's fucking disgusting. Throws it down, and he does the whole Spinal Tap bit with the little guy in the fucking olive. He's like, you know, what is this? It's not even a proper olive. There's not even a little guy in there. Throws it away, and then the fucking Dumb and Dumber. Just, oh my God.
A little bit of the bubbly.
That, when he saw the champagne and said,
A little bit of the bubbly.
it caught on so fucking hard. The first thing that happened was somebody went and put that over Mambo number 5. Nita Strauss from Alice Cooper's band fucking tweets it to Jericho, who then retweets it. And he thought it was just funny. Turns out everybody is doing this. They're putting bubbly on Mambo number 5, Limp Bizkit's Nookie, and everything you can think of.
Wherever you can get a little bit of bubbly.
What did you think whenever I sent this shit to you, or when I was telling you about that, man? Like, it's so fucking, like, it's so weird. Like, this man has constantly reinvented himself over the last 30 years he's been in the business, okay? He's had a catchphrase for almost every, like, iteration of his career. And this was totally accident.
I mean, bad PR is still PR, regardless of, you know, belt getting stolen or him just acting like a shit. I mean, he has not lost any of himself in the years of him being himself. Like, you would think a lot of these people and these wrestlers come into the industry, you know, 30 years ago, and they still continue what they're doing. Well, their part of them gets lost in the way, and they're like, oh, they're not the same. It's just some kind of mock-off of who he used to be. No, Chris Jericho is still this little shit, but in a good way.
Yeah, he's constantly reinventing himself, and that is key. The man has been, as far as wrestling, culturally relevant as long as he's been in the business. And it's just funny. But the whole bubbly thing is just goddamn hilarious, dude. It's all over social media. And I swear, everybody out there, like, if you search the hashtag a little bit of the bubbly, it's a thing.
A little bit of the bubbly.
It's the best. I can't say that enough. It is the actual greatest.
Around.
Dude, and here's the other the best part about this whole thing. No, that's not the best. You beating the shit out of everything over there. It's it's the best part. God damn it. The best part about this is that AEW's merch company partners, Pro Wrestling Tees, legitimately they work the way that our merch store does, is where you have a design and you can just order from their warehouse and they make it on site and send it to you.
Mm-hmm.
Within 24 hours of this going viral, and when I say viral, like it legitimately was like #1 trending on Twitter for like a fucking day and a half.
Mm-hmm.
Pro Wrestling Tees came up with a design, and it is Chris approved, like it's an official merch item. There is a little bit of the bubbly t-shirt.
Oh, Lord.
And the design is what you saw on our episode poster on Instagram this week. Where he's just sitting there, he's like, ooh, a little bit of the bubbly.
We take 2 each.
Yeah, no shit. I mean, I think that's going to be like my next t-shirt purchase from a wrestling company. And it's just funny as shit, man, because I feel like for a while it was not, and I hate it because, I've been a fan of wrestling like my whole life. But I think for a while it just was quote unquote not cool to be a wrestling fan. Like after the Attitude Era kind of ceased to exist and WWF bought like their competition, it just wasn't cool to be a wrestling fan.
It's all fake. It's all just drama and soap opera shit.
Yeah, but I think the stuff that AEW has been doing recently has been creating some really good television. They've been creating great talent. And I'm not saying it's the second coming of any company because they're definitely their own entity, but I feel like for the first time in a while, it's considered quote unquote cool to be a wrestling fan again.
Mm-hmm.
And Chris Jericho being part of that shit is just chef kiss.
A little bit of bubbly.
How do we celebrate?
A little bit of the bubbly.
All the time.
It should have been Sparkling Water Challenge.
Dude, I wish that would have been a thing when we were doing the Sparkling Water Challenge because it's like, what have we drank so far? We've drank fucking San Pellegrino. We have drank fucking
Dasani.
LaCroix, Dasani, and
A little bit of the bubbly.
tasty. But yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Oh,
Yeah.
by the fucking way, before we go, if you would like to listen to some buddies of ours, check out the Drinkopedia podcast.
Hi, it's Audra
Jason,
and Matt.
from Drinkopedia Podcast.
We're a bad education podcast that's like drunk history for the full curriculum.
we have new episodes every Thursday, and you can find us on most major podcast platforms.
Join us at the bar and follow us on Twitter at Drinkopedia Pod.
A little bit of the bubbly.
For all of those people. How convenient.
Very.
I'm telling you. Pop the bubbly and learn about some shit.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. But anyway, yeah, I think that's all I have for this week, dude, unless you had anything else list-wise.
I'm good.
Sweet. Well, that sounds like we covered all of our bases.
All the bubbly.
All the bubbly. Not just a little bit.
All of it.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah. So past, present, and future episodes, go to supermediabrospodcast.com. Just dive into our catalog of shit.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of episodes. Just dive on in and pick something. Next fucking week, Cult Cinema Showdown. This is the last Cult Cinema Showdown before Spooky Month hits. If you guys listened to Street Fighter versus Mortal Kombat way back last year, you'll know that we just joked lightly about, we should do Double Dragon and Mortal Kombat 2 because we had a poll going for, like, hey, what movie should we put against Street Fighter? Is it Mortal Kombat or is it Double Dragon? Mortal Kombat won, but it's like, dude, Double Dragon needs to do something. It's like, let's put it against the fucking Annihilation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's going to be a thing. But yeah, that's happening. Go subscribe to our YouTube channel. We broke 100 subscribers, so we have a custom URL now. It's gonna be in the show notes, so go check that shit out and subscribe. We've got video of the bubbly challenge.
It's phenomenal shit right there.
Yeah, absolutely. And don't forget to dial the number on the screen to get your compensation.
If you have mesothelioma or ovarian cancer or any kind of cancer from drinking that shit.
Yes. I'm almost positive that's why I'm having the health problems that I'm having is from drinking that shit.
Yeah.
Who knows? Moving on. Merchandise go buy some merchandise. We have some more markdowns on our items. Winter is coming. Get you a goddamn pullover or zip-up hoodie. It's cheaper. It's a little cheaper. You can buy it. You can afford it.
And you can look suave and fabulous.
Fuck
with us
yeah.
on a
Support the podcast monetarily at patreon.com/supermediabros or at coffee, that is ko-fi.com/supermediabros. And of course, social media. Facebook.com/supermediabros. Twitter.com/supermediabros_ and Instagram.com/supermediabros podcast.
many stupid pictures await your eyes.
Yeah, many. For your entertainment, your pleasure. Just go. Go do it.
Entertaining, unlike Sony.
Yeah, god damn it. I'm trying to think if that's everything.
Sounds about right.
It does sound about right. If I forgot anything, it'll be in the show notes. Just go down there and click
Or on
it.
Instagram.
Yeah, somewhere. Just go to any of the things that we have mentioned and just do the thing. We're gonna roll the fuck out of this bitch.
Yep.
That was Hollywood Watchmen, episode 89. God damn. For this week, I've been Midnight Agent Raw.
Goddamn, I'm Okami.
Shades on.
We're off, goddammit.
Don't forget to pop.
A little bit of the bubbly.